Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the first Local Revenues Subcommittee of this legislative session. We're excited to have you all here, and today we will be discussing several bills. Before we get into it, wanted to just go over a little bit of housekeeping. We do have some guests with us who are available as resources to answer questions. They're going to keep their cameras off through the discussion, but will can join in as asked. For the members of the subcommittee, if you have a question or comment, I'm going to ask you to use the raise hand function so that I can recognize folks in order. When we come to voting, I'm actually going to ask you to physically raise your hand and leave it up until we ask you to lower it. Let's go ahead and get started. We've got 4 bills related to tax sales today. We're going to start with House Bill 57. This is allowing local governments to make their own determinations about when and how often they want to hold tax sales, and turning that over to their local governing body to make that policy decision. This gives more flexibility and control to the counties, and the ability to, work with folks. There was no opposition to this bill and no amendments. Is that correct, Stan? Can you just confirm for us? So I think
that's correct, yes.
Okay, right. We had one signed up as favorable with amendment, but then it turned out there was no amendment. So, okay. So this is we're warming up with a pretty easy, straightforward one. Is there a motion on the bill?
Move favorable.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or discussion? All right. All those in favor, please raise your hand. All right. Look at that, our first bill, and it's unanimous. Wonderful. All right. Moving right along. Next up, we have House Bill 43. And so this bill requires each county to establish a process for the former property owner to claim the balance due to them after the right of redemption of the property is foreclosed. And it does not make any changes in terms of who is owed what. It's simply about establishing a process and making sure that people can claim the balance they're owed without having to seek a court order first. There would only be the need for a court order if the amount was actually in dispute. Is that, did I capture that accurately, Stan? Make sure you keep me online.
Absolutely, yes.
All right. So again, this bill did not have any opposition, and I believe similar to the other, although we had someone who signed up favorable with amendment, we do not actually have an amendment. Is that correct, Stan?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Can I have a motion on House Bill 43?
Move favorable.
Second.
Wonderful. It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or discussion? Delegate Grossman, was that a?
Nope, I was voting early. I thought that was the next thing you were going to say.
I love the enthusiasm. Any?
I have a question.
Yes, Delegate Long.
Yes, the person that testified for this with an amendment, who was that and what was the amendment for? If you could refresh my memory, please.
It was Mr. Enton on behalf of the Bankers Association, but I believe, and Stan, you can fill me in, I believe you spoke with him and he did not actually, after conversation, did not actually want to request an amendment. Is that correct?
Okay.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay,
They don't
thank
have
you.
any amendment to this bill.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, any other questions or discussion? Delegate Wu?
I just want to make a comment. I think this bill, it will really help for the homeowners. I really appreciate it. And this bill has been proposed.
Good, good. All right. Well, on that note, all in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, looks like that is unanimous as well. Okay, thank you. Did you have okay.
It's kind of funny, right? I raised my hand, then the button light up. I'm not sure what's happening.
Okay, all right. Okay, moving along to House Bill 21. And just to remind everyone, you did receive last night, actually a reprint of House Bill 21 incorporating proposed amendments. So just to remind everyone, this is the bill that would allow a property owner to request the payoff amount to redeem the property. And then that statement of the payoff amount would be valid for 30 days. So this bill did have some opposition. And the reprint that you have includes the friendly amendment that we heard. We had Mr. Enton testified favorable with amendment to make sure that we included the mortgagee in the bill. That was a friendly amendment, which we did incorporate. And I also want to discuss another amendment that that we're proposing here. So this bill lays out that the property owner can request the payoff amount, but does not specify a time period within which the holder of the certificate needs to provide that payoff amount, right? We know that when it is provided, that amount is valid for 30 days, but there's no deadline on responding. After going back and forth a little bit about what an appropriate deadline might be, we decided instead, or I'm proposing instead, that we simply create an incentive for the certificate holder to respond as quickly as possible. And we're doing that. If you look at the reprint on page 4, under paragraph 4, the new A and B subparagraphs specify that when that payoff amount is requested, the holder can only include expenses incurred before the request for the payoff amount was received. Okay. And then when they respond, that payoff amount is valid for 30 days. So we're building in an incentive for them to respond as quickly as possible, rather than setting a specific number of days. I'll pause there. Any questions or discussion about that? Delegate Long.
Yeah, best I remember the notes that I'd taken, there were some concerns about once they received the payoff, whoever's being foreclosed on, that they could do it multiple times and it would kind of stop the process. Am I correct?
So I think that is sort of the concern that we heard. I don't believe it actually stops the process. We had some discussion, and Stan, I don't know if you want to address from a more technical side, but there's nothing that would stop the process with the request of the payoff amount. The payoff amount is locked in for 30 days, but that doesn't mean that the proceeding to foreclosure couldn't still occur.
All right, I guess my question is that if someone requested a payoff and it was good for 30 days, at that end of 30 days, for that 30 days, do they have to cease from, well, how am I looking to say this? Not withdraw the property, but actually not be able to start foreclosure proceedings, or would they still be able to go ahead and with the foreclosure proceedings?
Stan, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, the bill doesn't say anything about putting off the foreclosure process or delaying the foreclosure process. There's a separate provision that applies to Baltimore City that expressly says that foreclosure can't take place, for a certain period of time when a request is made. But that's not in the new language that's proposed by this bill. So I don't see this bill as doing that. I don't know, Madam Chair, if you might want to ask the Ombudsman to weigh in on that, but.
Sure. Mr. Yeager, could you offer your thoughts?
Sure. Just for the record, my name is Bob Yeager. I'm the State Tax Sale Ombudsman. I appreciate the chance to address this. We did not intend it to stall the foreclosure process. If someone requested the payoff amount, it would just mean that for 30 days, that's their redemption amount. If the investor just started to move forward with the foreclosure action, that would be a separate issue for the homeowner to deal with, but they would be able to redeem using that payoff amount, up to 30 days after the request. So it doesn't intend to interfere with the foreclosure process.
Okay, but in Baltimore City it does. I know there was some language, am I correct?
So Delegate Long.
It has nothing to do with this bill, but I was just trying to verify.
Yeah, so in current law, there's a provision applicable just to Baltimore City. It does have some postponing of foreclosure, only for up to 2 requests. But that's current law and is not changed by this bill.
Okay, but it's not applicable to this bill, correct?
That's right. It doesn't change. This bill doesn't change that.
Okay. As far as any other okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion on the amendments? I want to open that up actually to our guests as well, if either Estat or Mako want to have any questions or comments you want to share on the proposed amendments, specifically the piece regarding the timing and specifying that the amount of the payoff amount would only include expenses incurred prior to the request, and then that the 30-day validity of that payoff amount stays the same from the time the response is sent.
Thank you, Delegate. Nothing from Mako. No comment here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. I would support that amendment. The addition of 4A that just specifies those expenses are from before the point that they request the payoff amount. I think that makes sense.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion or question from members? All right, Delegate Wu?
So Chair Fedemont, so are we going to make amendment, motion to make amendment?
So that was what I was about to ask. Is there a motion on the amendments?
I will make a motion to approve the amendment.
Okay,
Second.
thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Delegate Hornberger, I'm not sure if you're with us at the moment. Are you raising your hand?
It's frozen.
Okay. Okay. Well, that was, we'll come back to Delegate Hornberger if he wants to add his vote there. And then do I have a motion on the bill as amended?
I move to approve the bill as amended.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion on the bill as amended? All right, Delegate Long.
Just want to make sure, in my notes, it said they requested that there would be more notices sent out to the bank and to the owners. Is that addressed in this amendment? That was one of the things that they had talked about. They'd like to see actual notice sent out to the banks and to the owners of the property, make sure that they're aware.
So I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Stan, please, I believe the statutory requirement for notices stays the same. So we're not changing the required notices that are sent out. This is just adding the ability for the property owner to request the payoff amount.
Okay, I thought there was actually testimony asking for additional notices. I could be wrong, but.
Yeah, so the bankers asked that they be able to request the payoff amount as well. And,
okay.
And the amendments do that.
Okay, I'm good. All right, thank you.
Okay. All right, so then on House Bill 21 as amended, all those in favor, please raise your hand. All right. Delegate Hornberger, are you still with us? Maybe not. Okay. All right. So the bill as amended, or the favorable motion on the bill as amended passes, and we are moving right along to our final bill for today, House Bill 83. And House Bill 83 actually deals with the redemption if the property owner requests the payoff amount and does not get a response from the holder of the certificate, then the property owner can contact the county, the collector, right, and inform them that the holder of the certificate has not responded. Then the county would attempt to contact the holder of the certificate. And if the holder of the certificate still doesn't respond within 5 business days, then the property owner can redeem the property without the
Extra fees.
letter of the satisfaction letter from the holder of the certificate. Stan, anything to add or correct?
No, nothing to add or correct.
Okay. All right. So this bill also did have opposition and did have the same sort of corresponding request from the bankers to be included, to include them. So we have accepted that. We've taken that as a friendly amendment and added the mortgagee language similar to what you saw in the previous bill. Any questions or discussion? Yes, Delegate Attar.
Thank you. Does this apply to owner occupied and commercial? I know Bob Enton was asking me that.
This is just owner occupied, I believe. Is that correct, Stan?
So that House Bill 21 is just owner occupied, and under the amendments you adopted, it stays that way. This bill actually is all property owners.
Oh, okay.
House Bill 83, yes.
Is all properties. Okay.
Yeah.
Delegate Grossman.
Thank you. And I may be overcomplicating with my question, so I apologize. But in the bill in 21 that we just moved forward, we said that we would incentivize for the response, but we were not kind of creating a hard deadline. And in this one, if we haven't gotten or the homeowner has not gotten a response, then we're giving 5 additional days. And so I just want to make sure there wasn't any conflict kind of between the language in those two. We want you to do it as quickly as possible, but there's no hard deadline for you. So at what point would, I guess, the owner be able to say it wasn't fast enough for me to get that response? Does that make sense? What I'm asking?
Right. I think if the owner doesn't have a response, right, they can reach out to the county. There's no minimum time that has to elapse before they could reach out to the county. I think, if the owner's ready to redeem their property, they want to go, right? If the holder of the certificate wants to, have their payoff amount satisfied, then they need to be responsive, right? So if there's no minimum time before the owner can go to the county, right? But then once the county contacts the holder, that's when the 5-day.
Right. So I just wanted to make sure I understood correctly.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other questions? All right. Do we have a motion on the amendments?
I vote we push through the amendments.
Second.
All right. All those in favor on the amendment? All right. Thank you. And then is there a motion on the bill as amended?
I move to approve the bill as amended.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor? All right. Thank you. Delegate Hornberger, last chance. All right. Thank you all for your time. Good work. 4 bills moving out of subcommittee. Thank you.